Hi, my name is Alan Lamont. I am from Edinburgh, Scotland, and this audio is about the Denver International Airport. And I'm going to cover a lot of historical facts during this audio, and I'm going to quote the sources. And I've been studying this for quite a long time now, and I'm going to reveal exactly what the government is doing with the Denver International Airport, because there's a lot of disinformation about this and misdirection about this on the internet. And I'm going to bring a lot of those facts, true facts, in this audio regarding the real agenda of the CIA and the American government regarding Denver International Airport. Now, it's clear to anyone that looks at the airport that there is more to this than meets the eye. The CIA pushed hard for this and went way over budget by billions of dollars. And really, what I'm going to explain during this audio is that really it's a global Masonic temple. But underneath, the airport is a global network of underground bases, not just one. This is going to be the actual headquarters of the New World Order in the United States of America. The CIA in 2005 moved its headquarters to Denver. There's a lot of information I'm going to explain, and this will really, really open your eyes that this is more than just a deep underground military base. There's many of those across the earth. Denver is unique, and we understand from the capstones and the signs and symbols at the entrance of the Great Hall in Denver Airport that, okay, it's a global Masonic temple. But as I've said, it's much more, and that will be revealed during this audio. Now, I'm going to quote some sources here from a book called Pandora's Box, called The Denver International Airport Story. It was written by a man named Alex Christopher, and I'm reading from the second edition, but I'm also sharing my own research. In this book, there's a man who is actually an industrial defence complex building manager. He's a head engineer, and he was offered the position of head engineer for the construction of the base at Denver International Airport back in the early 80s, way before it was even, constructed. And he said that it covered an underground area of 85 square miles with a depth of 88 cubic miles. He said that it had a complex of 4.5 square mile city underneath the airport, complete with stores and shops, etc., and complete with hundreds of miles of underground roads, hundreds of miles, all connecting with high-speed bullet trains that can go at max speeds. Now, there is a lot of disinformation about aliens occupying these underground cities, jointly occupied by humans also. That, let me say clearly, is disinformation. The CIA always does this, to discredit the whole truth of these dumb bases, which, to translate deep underground military bases. So what they've done, they've brought a lot of books and a lot of authors and, explaining the fact that, there's aliens and there's experiments and there's a whole alien race and these underground cities and they're built for them and etc. and so on. They share technology and, that, let me say again, is disinformation. And that disinformation is for misdirection, so that people discredit this whole revelation, when in fact there is actual cities that go on for miles under most capital cities across this earth, and in most places across this earth there is deep underground cities and military bases that connect with one another underground. And this has been planned since before the Cold War, during the Cold War, and I'll explain a lot of the reasons why this has happened. But when you go on the internet and you research this, just bear in mind that the CIA has covered this revelation with the alien conspiracy theory, okay? That's what it's done. And look through that, see through that, and when I share this information, you'll understand, okay? You know, why this airport was built. Now, there is people that say that the Denver International Airport is an underground base, and ask the question, what are its real plans? What is its real agenda? According to a lot of people, according to the FEMA 4110 plan, it appears that Denver is the central location for collecting people and processing them into other areas of the world to be transported out of there by plane after the Third World War. As I've said, there will be a world war, and after that, you know, it appears also that Denver could be, I'm not saying absolutely, but could be a processing place, you know, used by FEMA. I am more inclined to believe that it's actually going to be the base underground for the United States government. It will be the center of power for the intelligence organizations and American administrations and the Pentagon. And this will be coordinated by the CIA. The CIA, as I've said, has already moved their headquarters there to Denver. And okay, I'll explain more. Now, we do see at Denver, we see swastikas, Nazi swastikas, which are designed to be, you know, obviously the design of the runways, and this is obviously a, you know, a clear signal, you know, from the CIA. The CIA really, you know, brought a lot of Nazis into the CIA. Well, at the time it was called the OSS, and, you know, obviously, you know, the Vatican worked with the high-ranking Nazis in the Third Reich, and obviously through the Red Cross they were transported through Nazi rat lines to South America and Australia, and, you know, a lot of high-level Gestapo and SS Nazis actually joined the CIA. And so, you know, when you see that swastika at Denver airport, that's just a clear signal, you know, that really this is a, you know, this is a one world government, this is a fascist government, you know, they're declaring who they are very clearly for all those that have eyes to see. Well, let me try and bring the reality of this to people. There is actually underground cities, you know, across the nations of the earth for the governments and the intelligence organizations with entire, you know, roadway systems. And people can live down there for decades, you know. Could understand, you know, for 60 years. Day and night, year after year, they've been building these cities, you know. Denver Airport is just one. But obviously it's more visible, you know, it's more visible. And we should take a good look at that. And I've done a lot of research, so as I've said in this audio, I'm going to share all of the revelations that I have of the symbolisms and the whole design and everything really, so you can really understand that it is going to be the headquarters of the US government during this Third World War. Now, the place is filled with Masonic symbols everywhere, everywhere, and Nazi symbols. And this is not by accident, this is by design. Now, there was a man called Phil Schneider, that's Phil, S-C-H-N-E-I-D-E-R, who, you know, he gave a lecture and, you know, about these underground bases, and he was brutally tortured and, you know, killed, and he was an ex-government engineer involved in building underground bases, as I've said. He was one of 3 people to survive a firefight, as he said, between large greys, aliens and US intelligence. I don't believe that at all. At all, you know. I don't believe it at all. And obviously in May 1995, Phil Schneider did a lecture on what he had discovered. Several months later he was tortured and killed, supposedly for those whom he previously worked. And obviously this man's revelation should not go unnoticed about the military bases, but the whole, you know, US intelligence working with alien greys is deception. It's clearly deception, put out by the CIA as disinformation for misdirection about these bases. But I will add this, apart from the alien conspiracy theory, regarding the New World Order and underground bases. I do believe that what this man had to say about the underground bases was actual fact, but it was covered with disinformation. I believe that he was programmed for that, to discredit that, but he was also assassinated by the CIA to make it appear that, what he said about aliens was genuine, and he was killed for that to give more credence to that. We've got to understand, the high intelligence of these networks, they are experts at disinformation. But, okay, moving on. Now, Phil Schneider, I just want to give you some quotes from his revelations, really, because I think they are important as I move into this message. Okay. He said that he built his first base, which was a one at Dulce, Dulce, in New Mexico, and also he talked about the black budgets, and the black budget really is a secretive budget, that gains 25% of the gross national product of the United States. Billions upon billions of pounds are given to the CIA for their black budget, and it currently consumes over 1.25 trillion per year. What are they using that money on? Where's that money going? They're being used to build military underground bases. Presently, there are 129 deep underground military bases in the United States. 129. Now, these are not just, based at those locations. They spread out under the earth, and they connect by train systems to other underground bases. The United States has a network covering the entire United States. These 129 bases cover the entire length and breadth of the United States of America. These underground bases, the government of the United States has been building these, 129 bases day and night unceasingly since the 1940s. And some of them have even been built earlier than that. And these bases are, they're basically large cities, that's what they are. Underground, connected by high-speed magneto-leviton trains that have speeds up to Mach 2. I mean, several books have been written about this. I mean, I'm just quoting from different sources, but I'm also explaining that within those sources there is a lot of disinformation. But you've got to look through that, and you can find the truth, But we've got to realise that yes, the government won't deny it. People say, well, why would the government reveal these things? They can't hide it. They can't hide these things. But what they do is, obviously every country on the earth has, underground bases for the, heads of state, for governments, for the military, for the intelligence organisations, in case of nuclear attack and in case of war upon a nation. That's well known anyway. But it's far, far larger than what people have realised. And they know that people will find out. So what they've done is they've created this whole, alien grey conspiracy as misdirection, as I've said. Now, the average depth of these bases is over a mile. That's a mile deep. And they're basically, again, whole cities underground. And I do believe they're all over the earth. They're in Great Britain, they're in America, they're all over Europe. They cover the length and breadth of this planet. And they're all between 2.66 and 5.25 cubic miles in size. I mean, they have laser drilling machines that can drill a tunnel 7 miles long in one day. Now, we have to understand that the New World Order, right, is depending on these bases. Why? For their survival, for their protection. They're not interested in the population of the planet, During this Third World War, which will cover the earth, really, the nations of the earth will enter a time of warfare that is never known. And while this is raging on the surface, they'll be under the earth coordinating this, organising this. And now bear in mind, as I've said, I know I keep repeating it, but there's a lot of alien disinformation. Apparently, they say that the technology is, way, way advanced, and because they got that from aliens, and apparently, Eisenhower, his administration, the federal government decided to, make a treaty with alien entities, and honestly, the CIA has covered all of these revelations with alien disinformation. You've got to be aware of that. It's deliberately put out as misdirection and to discredit the whole revelation of these underground bases. You know, that they do cover the entire earth under the ground. You know, the nations of the earth have underground cities, man. You know, connecting all of them. They're all connected. Now, what we do see at Denver Airport, I'm going to talk about the agenda, you know, is depopulation. That is the agenda. If you look at the artwork and occult Masonic paintings at Denver Airport, you see there are Islamic figures, Russian figures with AK-47s and swords piercing doves, which symbolises democracy, and you have children standing next to extinct animals and children in graves and cities aflame and on fire with the fallout of radiation hovering over the cities from chemical and nuclear biological attacks. Clearly, there is going to be a world war and there's going to be a depopulation. That's the agenda. And apart from everything else that's there at Denver Airport and all the symbolism, that's what's really coming out. There's going to be an annihilation, you know. There's going to be a world war and they plan to depopulate most of this planet. That's the real agenda. And this will be coordinated by the One World Government, as I've said, you know, Russia, England, Europe, not every, but most nations upon the earth, their cities and their governments are interconnected underground. And they will coordinate this whole world war and, you know, to depopulate the population of this planet. Now we must understand, there is already a New World Order, but they don't have complete domination of the earth. After the Third World War, what they plan to do is really create a fascist world government. That is their agenda. But during that time, obviously, during the war, they will persecute minority populations. They will persecute blacks and, you know, Hispanics and Mexicans, and really, you know, and not just people of other cultures, white cultures also, you know. But what I'm trying to bring across here is that there will be a worldwide support for worldwide peace and for protection and security. And this fascist one world government will obviously receive support worldwide for this after this Third World War. And they will gain control completely and have a complete one world government. But we must understand that there are going to be millions of people massacred and slaughtered to establish this new world order. And, you know, that's the reality. And people have to understand this, that this is not just a theory about a new world order and how they're going to suppress our civil liberties and will be, you know, monitored and so on, and, you know, and under surveillance. That is not the reality of the New World Order. The reality of the New World Order is that they're all going to go underground. There's going to be a moment in time, and it'll be sudden, it'll be unexpected, and all governments across the earth will just go underground. They'll go into these cities, and that's when the Third World War will begin. And afterward, they will emerge, and they will have a complete fascist, absolute control of this planet. They will control the entire planet and have a form of government in which people will have no alternative but to submit to their dominion. I mean, the signs are there anyway. I mean, they're all around us. If you look at the fascist symbol at the wall behind the speaker's stand in the Congress, next to it you see the fascist sign. It's a satanic symbol for the United States, you know, branches of the armed forces. And the second one is obviously the fascist symbol on the gate of the President of France. The One World Government is already a fascist government. I want to also add here the Masonic connection. We already have across the earth a Masonic enslavement of the planet. Every government upon the earth is ruled by high-level Freemasons, and, you know, it matters not if they're York Rite, Scottish Rite, what the degree is, low level, high level, Knights of Malta, Knights Templar, it matters not. Okay, I've shared a lot in other audios that the Knights Templar really are a papal knighthood, and they control the global banking system, and the Knights of Malta control the political system and the intelligence organisations across the earth. You have American politics ruled by the Knights of Malta, but I'm not going to get into knighthoods. What I'm going to share is the Masonic enslavement of this planet. You can understand that Freemasonry holds the whole New World Order structure together, and people talk a lot about Illuminati and the principles of, Jacobinism and how it spread to the United States. But people have to understand really that the New World Order is governed by Freemasonry. In Great Britain, that's the Grandmother Lodge. You have the Duke of Kent, who is the Grand Master of World Freemasonry. But obviously, every nation on the earth has its Grand Orient Lodge, or Grand Lodge, or Grandmother Lodge. But these are headquarters to really control governments, police departments, intelligence organisations, armed forces, military. Everything is governed by Freemasonry. And we see clearly at Denver International Airport that it was created by very powerful, high-level Grandmasters of Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Their symbols and their signs are there, and their capstones at Denver International Airport. As I've said previously, Denver International Airport has departments that go miles and miles, they stretch for miles, underground. Washington DC has an underground city that covers the entire Washington DC underground. There's an entire city underneath Washington DC. There is. There is in London. There is at the Vatican. You've got to understand this. This has been planned for a long, long time. And, okay, Freemasonry really governs the New World Order. I'm not saying they control the whole New World Order. What I'm saying is it keeps it all together. It keeps it in place. Every leader around the earth, whether they be in the Israeli government or the intelligence organization of Mossad, whether it be Washington DC and the intelligence organizations of CIA, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Homeland Security, SNA, FEMA, whatever these intelligence organizations are, they are all high-level Freemasons. Same with Britain, with Westminster, and the MI5, SIS, and MI6. Freemasonry governs the New World Order. I'm going to give you a brief explanation of Freemasonry. Okay, at the very low levels, you have the secret master, the perfect master, intimate secretary, provincial judge, intendant of the building, master elect of 9, elect of 15, sublime master elect. Then you have the grand master architect, master of the 9th arch, grand elect mason, knight of the east of sword, prince of Jerusalem, knight of the east and west. Then you have the knight of the rose crux, HRDM, and then the grand pontiff, master ad vitam, patriarch, Nochite, prince Libanus, chief of the tabernacle, then the prince of the tabernacle, the knight of the brazen serpent, prince of mercy, commander of the temple, and then knight of the sun, knight of St. Andrew, grand elect knight, grand inspector, inquisitor, commander, sublime prince of the royal secret, and then the sovereign grand inspector general. Now, that's the degrees. Then you have those that rule Freemasonry, which are the Mark Master, Past Master, Most Excellent Master, Royal Arch Mason, Order of the Red Cross, Order of the Knights of Malta, and the Order of Knights Templar. Now, I'm not going to explain the whole, operation of Freemasonry. That's not the point of this message. It was about Denver International Airport, but, I'm just touching on a lot of subjects to give you more understanding. Now, in Freemasonry, they leave their symbols all over all of the signs of the United States of America. Even in the American Medical Association, there's signs of pyramids with snakes intertwined around a pole. and it's serpent worship, and it's satanic, and Freemasonry is Babylonian. And we see the signs of Freemasonry all over the symbols of the states of the United States. Also, if you look at the United Nations, you have a Masonic wreath, as the emblem of the United Nations, which has a wreath and a circle with the nations of the world in the centre. Now, to Masons who understand the symbology, the UN is a Masonic one world organisation. And likewise, world government has always been the goal of Freemasonry. If you look at Freemasonry, you have the G and the square and compass, and around that you have what's called the ivy wreath. And this is a identification of the brotherhood and of the mystery Babylon world religion. Their signs and symbols are all across the earth, and we see that clearly. Just to give a little bit more information about this Masonic structure worldwide, this Babylonian structure, and then I'm going to move on to bring a more revelation about Denver Airport. If you look around the earth, you see obelisks all over the earth, don't you? You see them at St. Peter's Plaza, you see them in London, you see domes, you see obelisks outside domes, even in Washington DC, and you see them, the obelisk opposite Congress, with the dome there, and you see, obviously in Paris, Egyptian obelisks, and even in the street layout of Washington, you see Masonic, square and compass. This is worldwide, this one world government. It controls, the whole earth, and it's Babylonian, it's Masonic. All of these structures around the earth are Masonic structures that reveal Masonic symbolism. You see it, as I've said, in Washington DC, at the Vatican, you see it in London, all across the earth. Now, to bring a conclusion on the Masonic aspect of this message, and then I'm going to move on to Denver Airport and then bring a conclusion here. What I'm revealing to you now is that there is a Masonic network. It's a joint operation from every government on the earth of high-level Freemasons who are organising this Third World War. Every intelligence organisation on the earth is involved, and they're all based now in underground cities and bases across the earth. And Denver Airport is the clearest sign of this, clearest sign. And people need to research this subject. Right, I'm going to move on to Denver International Airport again. It's rumoured by a lot of people that the Rothschilds and also the Queen of England is a major bondholder, in the land. And now what the CIA done with Denver International Airport was they wouldn't use one construction company. They employed different construction companies, and each one would work on a different level underground, and then they would obviously employ another, so that no one really knew the scale and the scope of this project. And the construction companies that were used, obviously, it's called Bechtel Corp. That's BECHTEL Corp. And the former directors were George Shultz and Henry Kissinger and Caspar Weinberg. This is more than just a military base. This is more than that. Now we see also that in Denver International Airport there are actually two gargoyles, demon figures, statues that are guarding the two baggage department areas at Denver Airport. Now these look very much like Baphomet, the devil, It is said that the cost of these statues were 170,000 apiece for their creation. Now, if you look at medieval French representations of the devil, the Templars were accused of worshipping the devil. Now, the Knights Templars are the highest degree in Freemasonry, and so that is a clear sign, you know, that really the Knights Templars are the ones that have actually built this underground city and military base, Denver International Airport. Now I'm going to close now by talking about the 4 large murals or paintings at Denver International Airport, because this is the most disturbing aspect of this whole message. It reveals the plans of the New World Order for the future and explains clearly what they're going to bring upon the earth. Now, this Masonic New World Order carefully planned the layout of these paintings, and they have symbolisms and meanings that we must understand. They are the plans of the New World Order that they plan to carry out in the future. This is one thing that the New World Order does. They throw it in our face. They always do. You know, they reveal their plans. They love to throw it in the faces of people. And it's a way of mockery. It's a way of scorning, you know. And people look at these things and think, well, why would they reveal their intentions? Because it's a twisted form of pleasure, really. That's what the New World Order always do. You know, you look at these symbolisms and these paintings at Denver International Airport, and it's in your face, you know, and it's, you know, really a front for Masonic knowledge. Now, I know this has gone on to 32 minutes, just bear with me now. I'm going to explain the paintings to you. Now, painting 1, this is one you can see has 3 dead people, with each one in their respective coffins. Now, I'm going to start and go to the left. The first dead person is a child. You know, these symbolisms are of death, of destruction upon the planet. So bear with me as I explain these symbols, because you'll really benefit from this knowledge, okay? Now, as I've said, the first painting has 3 dead people, each one in their respective coffins. I'm going to start, as I said, and go to the left. The first is a dead person, which is a child. Now, this child represents European, American, Jewish, because she is wearing a Star of David. And this is exactly like the ones that the Nazis made the Orthodox Jews wear during World War II. They're revealing that there's going to be an extermination of Jews. Next, we see that she is holding a Christian Bible and has a locket on it, which looks like, you know, family pictures. And there's also a rose, which represent the Luciferian Masonic Order of the Rose. And there's a daisy on her chest. In the next coffin, we see that there is a Native American Indian. Now, this female Indian is holding a golden corn in her hand. She also has a ceremonial Kachin doll in her arm. This doll is holding a bell, which is said to be a bell to be used to wake up the community. You know, but she's dead. She can't wake anyone up. This is a signal, a sign that really it's too late, you know, that the New World Order will have a one world government. Then there are printed or woven ribbons draped across her and her right shoulder. And, you know, and there's a flower just outside of her coffin. Over the centre of her head is a flower that bears a very close resemblance also. There's a Holy Ghost orchard, and it looks like a globe with a dove in it. Also we see the Grand Master flower, which is a symbol of Grand Master Masonry. To the far left is a Negro woman in her coffin, and you can see chains around her neck and wrist as if she was a slave. What is so interesting about this part of the picture is the flower on the inside corner of her coffin is a little plant called a Grand Master. Now what are the odds of that? A flower with a Masonic name. Now we have to understand that these people, these cultures, are in coffins. They have been killed. As I've said, the New World Order in the future plan a depopulation of the earth. They plan to massacre millions of people across the earth. It will begin in the United States of America. And that is why this Masonic New World Order underground city has been built with these symbols to indicate it will begin in the United States, this Inquisition. Also in the background we see the serpent bird, and below it is a panther, and behind him are children crying, and one child is holding the Inca table, or table, that means destruction to civilization. Now why on earth are these symbols there in the first place, which clearly depict the destruction of humanity? Now we know that the New World Order is planning to exterminate entire races that they hate and to depopulate the earth. We know that after the Third World War they plan to enslave the races and also destroy whole races and civilizations. This is their agenda. I know it's hard to accept for rational people to accept what I'm saying, but you have to look at these symbols, and they're more than just paintings. They are messages, clear messages with those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. The plan is to destroy the unity of the earth, to destroy all sovereign nations and really break up all cultures. And this storm that will rage will be well planned by underground built cities and transit systems. We must understand every major city in the United States has a transit train system running, connecting these cities underground. This is worldwide, and that is where the military and the intelligence organizations and the governments across the earth will coordinate this Third World War. Now in painting 2 we see there's a picture, a very large picture, and we see there's many different races, there's nationalities, there's children coming together in song and dance. But we also must notice they're all dancing on a rainbow. This picture is supposed to represent after the destruction. We can also see how the earth is now flourishing with the children. No adults around, is there? There's none. They're all children. We also see many different terrain regions of the earth that are now vibrant. Obviously this picture represents a new Eden, everyone rejoicing. Don't you bet on it. Okay, this is absolute deception. We also see someone in a Highland dress, and he has a kilt bag with 5 black tassels on it, which is Scottish Rite, representing earth, fire, water, wind and spirit. Now painting 3 is the most disturbing. The first thing that catches your eye is this massive figure of this green man of war. This soldier has a sword in one hand, piercing a dove, and a gun, an AK-47 in the other. You never see his face, you never know who he is. He wears a mask of secrecy. As in, you don't know who you're fighting. You just know there is a war going on. You can see there's a city that's been destroyed. and there are children asleep on the rocks. They appear to be alone and cold. Next you see a road full of weeping people. This is absolutely grotesque. This is just horrific, isn't it really? You know? People crying, people in coffins, cities ablaze, monstrous figures, you know, with guns and swords. I'll read on, okay? You see a road full of weeping people. The closest one to you is a mother carrying her dead baby and crying. And they all look like they are near death, with a grey colour of skin. In the lower right hand corner is a heart-wrenching poem that a child wrote at Auschwitz concentration camp. This is actually an official poem from a child at Auschwitz, a Nazi concentration camp, to indicate that our children will one day be writing poems like this one day in the near future. You know, friends, I want to tell you right now, if you're listening to me, we need to wake up. You know, we need to wake up. The New World Order are planning to depopulate this earth and have concentration camps ready to put in American citizens that will resist this. History is always a way of repeating itself. It's sad, but it's true. In this picture, you know, you see children from the nations of the earth gathering up their country's swords, which means real power, and turning them into this Nazi, you know, German child. You know, it's... Now look closely at the child's right hand, and here you see what we've been fearing for a long time. The iron fist is out of the velvet glove, the hand which is also totally out of proportion to the child's body. This is the hand of that giant, ugly thing on the ground, and with the hammer that he has beaten the swords into ploughs. A plough in relation to earth is considered, you know, a Masonic symbol with the doves of the United Nations looking on. Now if you look on the ground, war is dead, but look at the trophies, and you look on the ground, war is dead. But if you look at the trophies on his hat, there you see an eagle with his claws, and a nude female with 7 visible skulls. And on the shoulder is a decorative with 7 5-pointed stars. In the lower right hand corner of the picture you see the soldier's stand, that the soldier has fallen off, and the bottom it says war, violence and hate. And the entire picture is wrapped in a ribbon, a rainbow ribbon. Just bear with me, because it's interesting to understand this information really. What I'm revealing to you is the real message that the New World Order is bringing through these symbols and paintings at Denver Airport. I'm revealing to you the occult Masonic message. You know, they want people to know this. And this is, you know, I've spent a lot of time researching this, and I'm bringing this out, and I'm bringing the real revelation of what the New World Order is saying to us. Now, the entrance of Denver International Airport, you see what is called the Great Hall, which really leads us to understand that it's a Masonic temple. Now, when you go into the airport, Denver International Airport, you also see a Masonic Nazi symbol. It's actually in the Great Hall floor. It's a black circle, and it represents Saturn over the sun. And also you have symbols of a circle with a pyramid, and represents the Royal Arch Masons. And it's the same symbol that you see on the back of your $1 bill if you're from America listening to me. Now with Denver Airport, there's a lot of runways that have been built, and they said they were built wrong and they've been covered over again. And there's a lot of people that I've talked to, and there's some that I've emailed and talked to, and they believe that it's actually Denver Airport is going to be a detention centre. There's going to be thousands and thousands of people brought there, and there's underground detention centres, you know, at this place. And there's also others say that no, it's just an intelligence, military underground city for the New World Order in America, for the government, for the CIA, for Homeland Security, for FEMA, and so on. Now it's well known But there are many, many, many parts of the airport that are not being used. Long highways, and a lot of lower levels that are not being used or operating for anything really. And there's many large fence areas in which nothing is being used. I've got photographs of some of the underground tunnels, and you have a lot of sprinklers here. You have a lot of things that are just out of place, man. They don't belong here, they don't belong. And like I say, a lot of this information I'm sharing is from a book called Pandora's Box, and you can go on a PDF search engine and you can get this. I don't agree with everything this book says, I will say that, but a lot of this information is proven. There's photographs, there's information here that's documented. It's this is not disinformation, but there's a lot of information in it that I wouldn't call completely accurate, as in just some of these theories. But there is people that do know what's happening, and they know about the New World Order, and they know what Denver Airport is about, its purpose. I do believe it's twofold. I do believe it will house the actual US government. I believe the US government will have its base there underground, and the intelligence organizations of the United States will operate from Denver International Airport. It will be the center of coordination for the whole of American politics and intelligence. But also, I really do believe it will have some aspect of detention. I clearly believe that, with all the tunnels and the levels they have under there, the departments, that it goes on for miles and miles and miles. So it's not just for, the government, it's not just for the American administration, it's not just for the Central Intelligence Agency. Even though the CIA are based there, there's also a sinister side to this, which is, there is concrete tunnels which can hold thousands upon thousands of people, and in detention. Okay, now I suggest you get this book, Pandora's Box, and like I said, there's a lot of alien disinfo in here, but there's also a lot of facts that can be proven. Phil Schneider, as I began this audio, I'm going to finish really soon now. Obviously, he was an engineer, and he was assassinated by the CIA, obviously, but he went underground. This man actually went underground in the area of Denver International Airport, and he was officially employed in the underground facility to work in these areas at the DIA. And he pointed out really that on the lowest levels you go, there's obviously a basement, and then you have after leaving that you go through the Great Hall, and obviously it's Masonic, and it's got Nazi symbolism. Right, I'm going to bring a conclusion now. It's nearly 50 minutes, so I think it's time to end this. Thanks for listening, and I'm going to bring a final conclusion on my research, and I've looked at other articles and other websites, and studying this for quite a while, and it's very clear to me that there is underground cities across the earth, and the governments of the earth have been building these underground cities for at least 60 years continually, and they're planning a third world war, and it will be a world war, and it will not be one nation against another. It will look like that, but as we know, there is no axis of evil, there is only a one world government. And while this third world war is raging upon the earth on the surface, the governments of the earth will coordinate their operations underground, and this is what's going to take place. So to conclude now, obviously, about Denver International Airport has been built by the CIA, and the CIA has its headquarters there at this moment. They moved there in 2005, and there are miles and miles and miles underground at Denver Airport of tunnels and departments for the whole structure of the United States government to be based there. And it's from Denver Airport that they will bring this third world war. And I do believe part of it will be used, for detention, but primarily its main purpose was built for the government to operate from Denver International Airport. This is its purpose, this is its function, and when you look at the paintings and the murals, as I've explained, they show clearly that there's going to be a depopulation. This is real, it's not scaremongering. I'm not trying to bring fear, I'm not trying to, bring disinformation. I've quoted this book because it's got relevant information, and I've searched outside of this book, okay, to other websites and other material, and it can be proven that what's spoken is fact. But don't believe the alien disinformation, because that, like I said, is put out by the CIA. It's misdirection to discredit this information and to discredit the purpose of Denver International Airport. I'm from Edinburgh in Scotland, and I do believe that there are underground cities and bases in my nation, absolutely, all over the earth, all over Europe, and they're all connected underground. I mean, they can do that very easily. You look at the Eurotunnel that connects France to Great Britain, it's no trouble, they can do it very easily, very easily. And, that was only done in a couple of years, You think about 60 years, day and night, constantly building underground tunnels. Of course, they're all connected. Under the earth, they're all connected. And, that's what's going to happen. The governments will go underground, and they will remain there while this third world war is raging upon the earth. Okay, my name is Alan Lamont, and thanks for listening to this audio.